ATP, what it do with your boy Claymore Rain? This is that ATP Combat Media Show. Shout out to all my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into this content, I invite you to go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit your bell icon so you're getting alerts when all this content is dropping. So if you guys haven't heard yet, Shakur Stevenson suffers an hand injury training last night, ends up having to have emergency surgery, according to Eddie Hearn, who spoke on it. Eddie Hearn says,
yeah, he sent a pic of his hand last night after a session sparring, I believe, and tore a tendon in his knuckle and had to have immediate surgery. So unfortunately, he's out of the Joe Cordina fight on October 12th and won't return till early 2025. As I said, straight into surgery. So hoping for a good job in there and back to work as soon as possible. He's very disappointed. Obviously, he was looking forward to fighting in Riyadh season, but needs to get this done, can't continue fighting. And as I said, quick operation and back to business early 2025. Yeah,
so that's how that worked out. And you guys seen it. Best heard from the horse's mouth. Shakur Stevenson has had to have emergency surgery on his hand. Tendon issues is never a good thing to hear about with any athlete, whether it's an Achilles tendon or any kind of tendon. You don't want to hear that kind of injury, especially on a high impact injury, right? Injury where it can easily be flared up based off of the fact that he's punching things, right? It's hard to kind of stay away from putting a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on that injury when you're a boxer and the injury's in your hand. So we're definitely wishing Shakur Stevenson a speedy recovery. Like Eddie Hearn said, we're hoping that the actual surgery is a good surgery, a successful surgery that brings his hand back up to speed, at least over, well over 90% recovery, because these things do tend to linger and they don't always go completely away. But Floyd Mayweather also had to deal with fragile hands. And he found a way to operate around that and become one of the best fighters ever, the best boxers ever in the game, right? So we'll see how that turns out for him. How long are we expecting Shakur Stevenson to stay out at this point? Well, look, they're saying, from my research, it's looking like anywhere from 3 to 6 months is going to take for that hand to heal. But at the same exact time, after that 3 to 6 months, we're talking about the impact time. Shout out to a good friend of mine, Rachel Donaire. Salute, Rachel. We spoke about this a little bit earlier today on Blue Blood Channel, and basically understanding that once that 3 to 6 months period goes by and he's healed up, then he has to be able to actually punch with that hand. So who knows how long it's going to take. So, as early as 3 months plus some therapy, maybe he gets back out there in about 6 months or so, ready to fight, or this can be, depending on how his body reacts to the surgery and the way it takes to the surgery, 6 months, right? And then you would figure about 3 to 6 months to get him back on if everything is good, and then 6 months to 9 months if everything gets complicated. So we potentially might not see Shakur Stevenson back in the ring until mid 2025, maybe even late 2025. How does that affect the broad picture of 135 and the whole Tank Davis conversation? Obviously, everybody was excited to hear that Shakur Stevenson moved away from Top Rank and now had a new opportunity with Eddie Hearns, and a relationship with Turki Al-Sheikh was going to put him in a position to coordinate some big fights that everybody's been waiting to see. Tank Davis being the ultimate payday in the face of boxing and the biggest fight to be made for Shakur Stevenson. The game plan was that Shakur Stevenson was going to have a 2-fight deal fighting Joe Cordina on his first fight on October 12th, kind of headlining a pay-per-view card that Turki Al-Sheikh was sending. That's a long story how that ended up happening. We don't need to get into that. And then ultimately a couple of months later, 3 to 4 months later, trying to get in the ring with a William Zepeda to defend his WBC title in both fights, and then ultimately trying to coordinate something with Tank Davis. This on the back end of Eddie Hearn and Leonard Ellaby having a conversation, being cordial to each other on camera, and both of them pretty much speaking to the fact that they were going to that they were both very confident that Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis was going to be made no matter what. I won't say that they promised to work with each other. You know how those things go. It's a 2-fight deal with Eddie Hearn, and after that, he'd be looking to renew the deal with Shakur Stevenson, and based on his ability probably to facilitate that Tank Davis fight. So you know how PBC can get Leonard Ellaby and them. They don't particularly seem to get along too much with Eddie Hearn. So assuming that everything would have worked out, the most important thing that we pulled from that was that under no circumstances was Gervonta Tank Davis not going to pursue that fight with Shakur Stevenson. And we can only assume that Shakur Stevenson wasn't looking to turn down that fight. So that fight was inevitably going to come together amongst rumors that Shakur Stevenson was ducking Tank Davis in any kind of way or passing on opportunities to fight Tank. It looks like from my take, both guys came to a conclusion that the rollout and the timing of this fight was going to make a huge difference on the profitability of the fight, on the size of the fight, and they wanted, Shakur Stevenson building his status, his market value in the space. Would have just brought more eyes to the fight between him and Tank. Tank already bringing all the eyes because he's the face of boxing. Would have just combined to potentially contest a Ryan Garcia pay-per-view that Tank had, right? I mean, somewhere in the millions, high 700, 800,000, 1.2, 1.3 million pay-per-view buys that I'm sure they were entertaining on making happen. So this definitely does derail these plans quite a bit, depending on Shakur Stevenson's ability to heal from the surgery and be back training full speed in the gym. That's going to give us a better idea on how to gauge or speculate on how long it's going to take for us to see that fight. But let's talk about something else as well that this affects. Shakur Stevenson not being able to take those fights, not being able to build his market value up, and also not being able to train. Shakur can have a hard, coming back. We have to see how he deals with returning to the ring, throwing that hand. Will he be as confident as he was before, being that Shakur Stevenson has already shown reluctance to trade and throw shots? He's shown reluctance to do that. A lot of people are going to say, and I don't know, maybe I'm willing to subscribe to it as well, that this does look like a reoccurring hand injury that he's probably been dealing with for at least the last 2 fights, if not more. So his ability to punch, people wondering why he was so reluctant to throw those power shots and to engage. It always did look like his hands were bothering him. So this might be an injury where it needed the surgery, and this might be a blessing in disguise, but at the same time, a gift and a curse, right? Because although he gets to heal the hand up properly and put himself in position to be able to compete at 100%, to maybe get the courage to let his hands go, mentally, if that hand is getting hurt all the time, how does he feel about punching with that hand, even when it's supposedly healed, right? Even when the hand is supposedly healed, does he come back with that confidence? Time will only tell that story, right? We don't know. But him not being able to get a tune-up, him not being able to stay busy and potentially having to come back, maybe get one tune-up possibly, but I'm sure if there's going to be a fight between him and Tank, it'll be sooner rather than later when he returns, meaning that Tank would have fought at least probably twice in between that time, staying busy himself. Those opportunities are going to come, and Tank's team is very intelligent. I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't pursue that fight as soon as he got back. Use whatever leverage you have, take whatever advantages that you have. This is boxing, right? This is boxing. So we'll see how that turns out. You guys let me know. Shakur Stevenson out of the fight. Hand injury, surgery on that hand, something he probably needed for a while now. So he'll be out of the game for a little while, but hopefully when he comes back, the hand is healed up properly and he's able to go ahead and release those hands. Let me know what you think about it. Who's the next fight going to be for Turki Al-Sheikh right now in for Riyadh season? Being that Shakur Stevenson was supposed to be headlining that card with Joe Cordina, now that there isn't a fight there, who do they put there as a headline? I'm sure they're not going to cancel the whole event. Rumors out there that people want to see Floyd Schofield go at it with Joe Cordina, right? They would like to see him go at it, maybe help Floyd Schofield get himself up in the rankings a little bit more and maybe put himself in position to beat a Joe Cordina and take a Joe Cordina spot on a Shakur Stevenson fight. What is the WBC going to do with Shakur Stevenson? Him sitting out for all this time, will they put him as a champion in recess? Will they wait for him? And if they're going to put him as a champion in recess, who are they going to put in there as an interim title holder? You got to think that maybe, listen, I'm going to throw it out there, right? Maybe Schofield can get in there and replace Shakur Stevenson and fight a Joe Cordina, and then at that point, being that we're going to assume that Schofield's able to walk away with a victory, he can get the winner between a William Zepeda and a Tevin Farmer, and then we might be able to see a WBC interim title fight between the winner of William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer and the winner of Floyd Schofield and Joe Cordina. Why not put one of them as an interim WBC title holder, or even a champion, as Shakur Stevenson goes into champion's recess. When Shakur Stevenson comes back off an injury, maybe we see him fight a winner between Floyd Schofield and William Zepeda. Just me kind of reaching out there off the instant gratification train, trying to see something great still. Let's see what Turkey does. Good luck to Shakur Stevenson, as he is looking like he's going to be out the game for a while. Wish him a speedy recovery. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. And at this point, it's your boy Rain. Oh yeah, shout out to all my subscribers. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you get on your alerts when all the content is dropping. Hit your like buttons, share. And at this point, we out.